With that, we're going to move on. For those that don't know who I am Jessica Van Hevelen. I am OCIO's Google Support Specialist. And today we're going to go ahead and learn lots about all the updates that took place in the last 2 quarters. Also, this is recorded, so if you do need to step away or you just didn't quite get what I was saying, both can happen, or you just want to hear it again, you'll be able to find this recording on the Google Help training page as a past training, and you will find it on the YouTube channel that we have incorporated for you all to learn more about Google Workspace. So this will be recorded. It is a great resource to share to your coworkers to let them know of all the amazing updates that took place in the last 2 quarters. Just also quickly reminders that we do have a brand new, not brand new anymore, it's about 6 months, 7 months in, we do have a YouTube channel, and it is a great one-stop shop for you to learn more about Google Workspace. This is a great opportunity for you to subscribe, review, and watch. Also, I do incorporate some hands-on on some of the applications in there. So there is a quick short welcome video, as you can see on the slide deck, to learn more. So again, I would strongly encourage you to subscribe, review, and watch that YouTube channel. This is a quick screenshot of that YouTube channel. This is where we will post this video at a later time and post it on here. You'll notice there's several uploads. This is kind of an older screenshot, but there's some there's several uploads. There's also multiple playlists. So what particular app are you trying to learn, and etc. And there's the quick 4-minute welcome video to learn how you can make this YouTube channel work for you and your coworkers to learn more about the apps that you work the most in. In case you did not realize, there is a 2022 update playlist, and you can see there's currently, as of yesterday, there is 30 videos on there. These are shorter videos, but they go in greater detail of the particular update. So again, sit back someday, just multitask. That's what I do when I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I'm listening and I'm trying to do something at the same time. Just go ahead and just play those YouTube, that playlist, and you can learn more about each one of these updates. Again, we are providing the information for you to be on top of all the Google Workspace updates. It is up to you to have that lifetime learner mindset, and we have provided the tools and resources for you. So again, take advantage of all these great updates and learn more about them to make your life more efficient and productive, and that's our total end game regarding Google Workspace. So again, just a friendly reminder of that playlist. As we go through, we're going to start by app. Some of the apps updates do intertwine and kind of overlap, because that's the beauty of Google Workspace. It lets you work interoperable within each app within Google Workspace. So some of these updates will, again, overlap, but we're going to try to focus at each app at each time, just because then we're kind of honing on what we're talking about, so I don't have to repeat, this is happening at such and such time. So the very first app that we're going to focus on today is Google Calendar. So these are the Q3 and Q4 updates for Google Calendar. This one is probably not going to be the most exciting one to start out with, but this is one that we do have available. This is a new option to require email verification to book appointments in Google Calendar. What that means is, you may remember we do have the option to do appointment slots at one time. It was kind of clunky and archaic, and it looked very classic viewing. It wasn't very good material design and so much more. Well, then Google launched what we call appointment schedules. If you're unaware of appointment schedules, you can find appointment schedules under the Create button in your Google Calendar. Okay, you can use appointment schedules for both non-Google users and Google users. So if you have a time slot of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you're trying to book appointments, individual meetings with one person, this is a great option for you. I don't want to go into all the great details of appointment schedules. There's a lot of resources posted on here. But what this particular update does help with any spoofing or spamming is that if you do use appointment schedules, you do have the option for that particular non-Google user to put in an email address, and they'll receive a PIN code. So that's really what this update is. I'm just reminding you that appointment schedules is out there. Just quickly Google it, or you can find a resource on our YouTube channel regarding appointment schedules to learn more about it. As we stay on this slide, I just want to kind of let you know that this is a screenshot of the post that I've already made. So don't think that these links, will work, but that's why the button at the bottom will take you directly to that post, and you'll be able to interact with each of those resources that are posted there. So again, the button at the bottom of each slide is where you want to go to learn more about that particular post that is embedded on that particular slide. Okay, so not a huge update for many of us. This would probably fall in the 20% range that even use appointment schedules, but it's important that you do have the required email verification if you choose to use it. All right, I'm going to get better. I swear, much better updates coming soon here. This is one of my favorite ones. This is a new color categorization in Calendar. Many of us have what we call multiple hats. Let's just focus on my multiple hat. I am a Google team member, I'm an Okta team member, and I am a project investment team member. I have different hats. Many of you have the same issue. Some of you want to know, maybe you're a project manager, and how much time are you spending on project A, project B, project C? Fill in the blank of your business need. What is the purpose of this update? It allows you to track it better. So if you have a meeting like an Okta meeting, or in this example, it says strategy 2022, you can color code your events and put a label on it, and then it will track it in the time insights. And then you could select the duration that you have, such as maybe December 1st to December 5th. How much time did I spend on Project A, Project B, Okta, Google Team? You can see the breakdown of each one of those in the time insights. So that's a really nice feature. Again, this one does have a video to dive deeper into it. So definitely check out that when time allows. But again, that is one of my favorite updates, and that's how I track my billing of the products that I work on. The other thing is we have improved email notifications for Google Calendar. As you can see on the screenshot, you can see the highlighted green banner that says this meeting was moved, this meeting, that what was changed, and so much. So when we change an event, so if I have a meeting with Chad at 2 o'clock today, and then I decide to change the meeting to 3 o'clock today, then what's going to happen is, then when I change the meeting, Chad will get an email with the banner saying what was changed. The time was changed, the location was changed, what was changed. So again, we don't have to try to determine what was the purpose of the change, or what was the actual thing that changed from that meeting. So it gives you these visual indicators such as strike throughs. As you can see, like this one is particularly strike through, and you can see the color things, and tells you the indication. So huge update. I really like this because I don't have to do the guessing game of what actually took place with that change in the Google Calendar event. So now, as I mentioned, we're going to switch apps, and now we're going to focus on chat. So we're going to change gears, and we're going to focus on chat. This one's a fun one. We like fun. Now you can easily access your most used emojis in Google Chat. We're all kind of creatures of habit, including myself. I use the same emojis to express my authentic self. And this is a great opportunity just to select my most frequently used emojis in chat. A lot of us like our emojis because it just says a lot with a little emoji experience versus sometimes words. But you'll notice now you will have a new frequently used emoji option when you are selecting an emoji to express yourself. So that one's a fun one. This one's probably not that important to most of us. This is just an awareness. We can now have a Google Space. Remember, Google Space was formerly known as Rooms. Okay, so it's called Spaces now. That's not the update, just making sure you're aware of that. But you can now have up to 8,000 members in a space. That really doesn't apply much to us, as we probably only have like 12,000 users under our Google Workspace account. So that's really not something I don't foresee us using, and some of us are on a different platform. But I do want to make note, though, if you are thinking about building a larger space for maybe whatever business need aid, you do need to make sure you're aware that to have access to a Google Space internally or externally, you have to have a Google account. So that's the big thing to be aware of. I also, before I dive deeper in other apps, I want to make sure if you have not incorporated Google Spaces, that you check out the Chat Spaces one pager. Chat Spaces has made a lot of changes in the last 6 months for sure. And I take pride in making sure that Google Chat Spaces one pager is always up to date. So that is available on our Google Help website, but it's also available if you click on the button and take you directly to the resource of this particular post. And you will see the Google Chat one pager is available in a lot of these updates regarding chat spaces. So again, just kind of just a little blanket information. I do see this membership growing in the future, especially to assist in the larger enterprise accounts, but that really doesn't apply too much to us. The next update is now space managers can now delete messages in Google Chat Spaces. Well, let's just go back in time just a little bit. Maybe you're unaware, but you do have the option now to allow managers or to create managers in spaces. So if you already create a space, you are the one that created the space, you are the manager, okay? Second, now you can add an additional manager. As you can see in this screenshot, there's 2 managers. So I could add Chad to be a manager of one of our spaces as well. Now, once you have defined who is the space manager or managers, there could be more than 1 or 2 or 3, those managers can now delete a message. So let's say, for example, John, who is part of our space he says something, maybe it's really taken everybody down a rabbit hole, maybe not what we need to hear, maybe it's even for the wrong project. Now, John could have deleted his own message. However, he didn't. We think as a manager, both Chad and I, we can actually delete that as a manager in there. Now, before we know that the managers can delete it, there is another hiccup, I would say, with that, is there's 2 types of spaces. There is the conversation topic spaces, and there's the inline threading spaces. We'll talk more about that, but the deletion can only take place in an inline threading space. I will talk more about that in a minute, but that is the only way it can be deleted in that space. Now, if a message is deleted, please know that any message that's deleted or even put in chat is always discoverable. So even though we hit the delete button, it doesn't mean that it's gone for good. It just means that we still can discover it if ever being requested. So I don't want you to think, oh, it's delete. I took care of that naughty little message. You did to not have everybody see it in the chat space, but please know that it's always discoverable. So again, maybe not a huge deal, but it's very important that you do have some moderation options now in chat spaces. So know that you can add managers, and managers do have more rights now within the chat spaces. And I would see this as going to be a common theme with spaces, as it's probably going to take over some other apps. So please be aware of the changes in chat spaces. Also, speaking of chat, we're still focusing on chat, but we're also talking about chat spaces inside the Gmail integrated view. You do have a better way to search inside Gmail when you're trying to search for chat messages and spaces. We find that we use chat more frequently right now, especially in the hybrid moment, right? Half of us are at home, half of us are in the office. We're just constantly not talking to each other in person anymore, but we're talking through chat and having those interpersonal or personal conversations, less formal conversations through chat. Hands down, I am one of those. I know Chad is too. That's where we go and communicate the most, correct? With that, so then now it's kind of like, how can I find that message I sent to whatever the case may be? You do have some more filtering options in the Gmail integrated view. So you can see in this example, I typed in the keyword Google. Obviously, Google will be a pretty popular word in my particular chat area. So I have Google, and then I can define, what do I want to search? Do I want to search my mail? Do I want to search my messages, which would be chat, individual, or group? And then I can even break it down. Do I want to actually talk or search within spaces? Once you select spaces, then you can actually see there's even more options to filter down the data and try to narrow your search. So again, we want to use these filter chips, whatever you want to call them, search chips, whatever. Make sure you're using these search chips to help define and search your email. So be aware of that you have a lot of options here to make sure you can find that particular email, chat, or in your chat spaces. So nice feature. I can see that continually to grow as well. So the next one is a really big update. Hold separate conversations in Google Chat Spaces with inline threading. Now, I talked about inline threading 2 slides back, and you're like, what is she talking about? Well, I'm coming back around that. So what this is, as you can see in this GIF, it allows you to reply to a talk conversation. So where I like to explain it is, many of us have probably an Apple phone. I don't know if it works on Android, but probably does. On an Apple phone, you hold down the message and then you're replying to a particular message that was sent, right? Same concept. You're replying to that particular topic. That's what's working in chat now, Chat Spaces. Chat Spaces is a great way to use the team atmosphere. So we have a chat space for our Google team. We have a chat space for our Okta team. We use this space, this area, to have informal conversations, move projects on, quick questions, quick answers. Just how do we keep moving forward on project A, B, and C? So with that, now if Chad sends a message in the chat spaces, for example, and I think I should reply to it because it's regarding training, I can actually hover over that message and you will see an option to actually reply just to Chad. And then someone could follow that message as well. It just really kind of cleans up the chat spaces, right? Because now we won't have this long conversation where maybe this conversation between Chad and I really should have just been Chad and I, but it needs to fall in the bucket of the team. So it's just a really good way. This video, I strongly encourage you because it also talks about the other type of other space that we have, which is conversation topic. I'm not going to spend a lot of talk about that because that's actually going to be deprecated in 2023. The default chat spaces for future will always be inline threading. So it's kind of like, get used to the inline threading. It is going to stay. I'm not making this up. It's in the Google Workspace update. It says 2023 is going to be the default is inline threading. So I hope you've tried it. If you're like, I don't see it, it means that you are in a conversation topic and you cannot convert it to an inline threading at this current time. So I go into greater detail about all this in this video. I give you a quick demonstration of both the conversation topic and the inline threading so you get a better understanding. And how to create a space and giving you best practices as well. So just be aware of that. So again, we have the resources for you. It's just making sure that you are checking them out. So that's a great example of lots of good changes, maybe not realizing it as we go through. The other thing with part of this Workspace update is to make sure you're aware of all the trainings that we have posted in the last 2 quarters. That's the benefit, right? Knowledge is power. Well, you know what probably is the most used app that you use is your browser. And the browser that you use, which is our default browser, is Chrome. So don't you think it might be worth taking a little bit of time to make sure you have all the shortcuts you can learn within Chrome? Guess what? We got you covered. We have created a brand new Chrome training for you. Chrome is our official browser for Google and is the one that we recommend for the state of Iowa employees. With that, we have training for you, such as learning how to group tabs, how to pin tabs, how to right click, how to bookmark, how to do whatever inside Chrome to make your life easier to function. So definitely check out the Google Chrome page on the Google Help website to learn more about Chrome, which is the app that you're in for probably most of your stuff. So just be aware of that there is a great resource for you regarding Chrome. This one probably is not as exciting for most of you, but I do want to make sure you're aware of it. This falls into the 80-20 rule. Maybe 20% of you would probably care about this update. So I want to make sure that you know that we do have Google Classroom posted up, Google Classroom training posted there as well. So we have added that in the last 6 months. So definitely check that out. Classroom is a tool that is used highly in education. A lot of Google education SKUs. Not highly used for the state of Iowa, but I can say we do have some really successful stories regarding Google Classroom. Some agencies have used Google Classroom to help train their volunteers or train materials within with their own agency. So again, if it's something that you're interested in learning more, definitely check it out. Another fun story with Google Classroom is there is one agency that is using Google Classroom for their wellness committee. So again, it can be used for multiple things. It can be fun, interactive. Just get outside the thinking outside of it as a learning management system. It can be used for many different things. So just be aware that we do have a resource for you regarding Google Classroom as well. The next one is Smart Canvas. Now, if you attended the previous training that I hosted in quarter one and quarter two, we talked about Smart Canvas. It's kind of a new terminology. So we're just going to kind of briefly go over some of this again and then show you the new updates that has launched that falls under the Smart Canvas concept. First of all, we probably need to make sure we know what Smart Canvas is. You can see this video is kind of plain, maybe not the best quality, but you can kind of see some of these features being rolled out. The great way to experience, or the right way to describe Smart Canvas is the new product experience that delivers the next evolution of collaboration for Google Workspace. Really not the best way to say it, but here's what I'm saying. It makes Google Docs, Google Meet, Google Calendar, Google Doc editors, and Google Meet powerful, more intuitive, and makes you improve your collaboration. That's really what it is. It's just kind of like an added bonus on top of what you're already doing in the Google Workspace environment. It's not a true separate product. It's not a true separate app. It's just a concept that helps deliver better experience for you in the Google Workspace environment. So let's give some examples of that particular Smart Canvas concept. Okay, so collaboration, I'm sorry, I got off there a little bit. Collaboration, if you don't know me, is one of my favorite words, which many of you probably don't, but it is ultimately one of my favorite words. 2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads are better than 1, and etc. What the Smart Canvas does, as I mentioned in the previous slide, it improves collaboration. So these are some of the examples of how Google has enhanced that concept of being more flexible and helpful in the collaboration area. One, they have now incorporated building blocks. This was discussed in the previous presentation. The other one is smart chips, and we'll talk just briefly about each one of these in a minute. The other terminology you need to be aware of is drop downs, checklist, page list, and then these next few are new ones that have been launched in this particular range of quarters. Google Map place chips, assign task in Google Docs, and timeline view in Google Sheets. And there are still more coming. So let's talk more about one of these just a little bit. Again, this is just a review. We talked about some of this before. What are building blocks? It's a product that allows you to do it, create something, build something, create something. It's a template of some sort. Google Docs has several building blocks. If you go to the Insert menu, you will see table templates. You'll see product roadmap, review tracker, project assets. We also have things that you could use the famous @ symbol within Google Docs and Google Sheets. If you've seen the @ menu, it's also known as the search menu. If you haven't seen that, Google gives you a little help at the beginning when you create a new Google Doc to use that @ search menu. If you haven't done that, please do so. It is like the next best thing to right click. It allows you to quickly do a lot of things with just hitting the @ sign inside Google Docs for sure. And then you have other building blocks such as meeting notes. Did you know you can attach your meeting notes to your calendar? An email draft, which is another great feature. Some of these are older from the previous, but if you haven't checked the building blocks, please do so if you, again, haven't done so. These are some examples I'm just going to quickly go over, but you can see how this is helping collaboration, right? You have different ways. These are just templates. Obviously, templates are there for you to adjust and tweak. This last one I'm going to show you is this content tracker. I used it just to show you an example of how you can tweak it. This is not the actual content tracker that they provided me as a template, but then I tweaked it to fit my business needs that I needed to show you that. So there's a great video talking more about the building blocks on the YouTube channel, but this is just a quick idea to remind you of what it can do. Another key word, as we mentioned in the previous slide, is smart chips. Smart chips are a feature where you can connect people, content, maps, and events. As you can see, I've broken it down by Google Docs and Google Sheets. What can you do? It varies per Google Docs and Google Sheets. You can see in Google Docs, you can insert a smart chip, people, a file, a calendar event, and now a place, which goes back to the new update of Google Maps. The other thing in Sheets, we do have some more options here. You can insert keyword insert in the insert menu. You can do people, files, or calendars. You can get to the same options here by typing in the @ sign. Will get you to the same option of people, chips, and etc. So those are examples of smart chips. Drop downs, you can now add drop downs within Google Docs. Google Sheets is coming soon. It's in the Workspace updates. It's just not, I have not seen it in our Sheets yet. But you can see in this GIF, they're using the famous @ menu to get you to a drop down feature. Drop downs are great to use validation. In this example, it's telling you, I think, started, blocked, in progress, completed, etc. Checklist, who doesn't like a checklist? We like checklists when we check it off. Not sure we like to create them, but checklists are great to track our progress, right? Probably many of us are feeling that during the Christmas holiday, trying to say, do I have that gift for Chad? Chad, I don't. But you know, we get those kind of things that we have to keep track of, and checklists are great. You can do a checklist inside Google Docs, and you can do a checkbox checklist concept in Google Spreadsheets as well. So definitely check that out if you haven't done so. Page loss format, we need more real estate. You can have more real estate within Google Docs. So that is kind of a nice feature, especially when you're embedding a large item, such as in this GIF. You can see there's a large table, and you have the option to scroll, and it just gives you more capability to provide more content in a pageless environment. So this is one of the new ones in the Q3, Q4 update, is the Insert Google Maps Place Chips in Google Docs. Again, they're putting this under the bucket of Smart Canvas, another intuitive way to collaborate and have it more dynamic. You can now see you could insert smart chips, in this particular case, place. In the video that I do, I actually use the Iowa State Fairgrounds as an example. So definitely, if you like that concept, you'll definitely want to check out the video as well. This one I like. Maybe my team members do not, but I do. So you can easily assign tasks in Google Docs. So in your Google Doc, you can actually make a checklist, like we mentioned a couple slides back. Once you make it a checklist, then you hover over, you can then assign it to a particular person. Well, that sounds good. Like it, tag them, cool. But it even goes one step further. For example, if I added a task to Chad in the Google Team Agenda, not only is it going to track it in the Google Doc, it's actually going to take that task and put it in Chad's task list in his Google Task app. When Chad gets it done, he will then mark it done either in the Task app, or he will do it in the Google Doc, and they will both be strike through and completed. So this is a nice way to use that feature, but you have to make it a checklist, and obviously it makes sense. If it's a checklist, it's a task. It's an item in hand that needs to be done. This is a nice feature. I do this to our Google team a lot inside our Google Team Agenda. This is not my job. You need to do it. This just keeps them informed. And then I feel like it's actually in their task app. It's their list to do, not mine. So again, a really good update. I really like this one. And if you haven't noticed, Task has made a lot of updates in the last year. And you can see that it's incorporating a lot of get this stuff done. How can we track it better? And this is one of those examples. This one is a really good one for my project management or my communication specialist or anybody that has to deal with cross-team collaboration, marketing campaigns, anything in that nature. What this does is this is actually a Smart Canvas feature that's inside Google Sheets. I'm excited about this one. I do a lot of communication plans when we launch certain products, such as like the Okta OIE. I was part of that. And so we had certain criteria, reminders that we needed to do. Who do we need to educate, and et cetera. With that comes tasks, right? And timelines and dates. When are we going to do this, right? So a timeline view is a way to visually, it's going to help visualize what needs to be done by who and what time and date. And you can see what happens is you're going to have a spreadsheet with that information, such as the date of that communication that needs to be done, that task that needs to be done, who's going to be doing that task, and et cetera, right? It's your spreadsheet. You put the data in that you want. One thing that would be required, obviously, for this timeline view to work is probably a date. And that's kind of where you need to have a date. If you want to view it in a timeline, that would make sense, right? So what happens is then once you have your spreadsheet with your data, then you will insert a timeline view. And when you do that, you'll be able to visualize who handles what. The date range, you'll be able to adjust it by day, month, year, quarter, whatever. You can adjust it. You can color code the cards. It's just a really nice feature. So again, I'm not going to go into all the bells and whistles, but again, there's a nice video for you to learn how to use this timeline view. It's easy. It's fun. I'm going to use it for a lot of my communication plans for sure. Things that are coming is voting within Google Docs. That'll give you an option of voting within Google Docs, drop down chips in Google Sheets within Smart Chips. We already have the drop down validation option in Sheets, but now you have it within your Smart Chips area. So I have to give you a plug. This is why it's important to always check out the Google Currents page, sign up, so you can get these updates directly in your inbox when they're launched instead of waiting for 6 months to get the updates. We're going to change gears. As you probably noticed, a lot of Smart Canvas falls under the Google Docs area, but it's just kind of making sure you understand the terminology of what Smart Canvas is, and you're not blindsided by what is Jessica talking about when you hear the word Smart Canvas. We're going to focus on Google Docs. This one's a fun for my people that have to do a lot of formatting within Google Docs. Formatting always takes way too much more time, takes too much time. I always tell my kids, get your content in first, always do your content, do the formatting next, because the formatting always takes too much time and we really need to get the content in first. Well, this is a shortcut for that thing that takes the longest, which is formatting. So what you can do now is you can actually select multiple text selections in Google Docs. You can see in the GIF, it's highlighting project overview and marketing trends. You use the magic control button to select the multiple. So you select the first one, hit the control button, select the next one, hit the control button, select the next one. Now you've selected 3 items. Okay, wow, right? The cool part is now that those 3 items are selected, you could bulk actions. So you can then make a copy of it. You can make it bold. You can do all 3 of those items that you selected and do something with it. This is where the right click can be very helpful for you. If you have those 3 items, you can quickly just copy them. You can link them. So again, a really nice feature. And the video goes over several different examples, but that's a nice feature. Tables, if you have not already known, within Google Docs, Tables has made tons of improvements. As you can see in this post, I even emphasize that again. Tables in Google Docs has improved immensely. A lot. I like it much better, more intuitive, easy, more user-friendly for sure. Now with that, now they're just adding more bells and whistles within Tables. So if you are always struggling with Tables in Google Docs, I give you a wholehearted try to go try it again. They allow you to ascend now, pin, and etc. This is one of the other examples. Now you can do more split tables within Google Docs to organize your life a lot easier and make more make better tables if you choose to. So again, just check out that resource. Again, if you haven't really noticed, there's more resources regarding tables. And a reminder, just go to the button and that will take you to that spot. Who doesn't love emojis? Because I do. You can insert emojis in line with text. Now, if you remember in the previous update that we did 6 months ago, we talked about how we can react with emojis and highlight something and give chat a thumbs up or a smiley face or a upside down face, whatever, however you felt. You can always react to a comment or to a text on the Google Doc. Now you can go one step further and actually insert an emoji in Google Docs in line text. You can see they're using both the @ symbol, which there are some shortcuts you can see there. They're using the @ symbol and then typing the word smile, and it brings up a smile emoji. You could also bring @dog. There's a lot of different ways, or you can type @emoji. There's a lot of shortcuts I go into regarding all the ways you can insert an emoji in that video, because it can be a little different, but it's whatever preference you want. But again, you can do inline emojis now. This is really good. Stay on top of changes to document content with edit notifications. I really wish their titles were a little more easier to say sometimes. What does this mean? This means in Google Docs, you have the capability to actually be notified when something gets changed. That's really what it says. So for example, you're not going to want to do this for every document that you have access to, right? But there are some documents I want to know when someone made changes to those documents. Why did you make changes to those documents is really what I'm asking in my head. But I want to know what was changed and by who. Well, I could always go to file version history and determine that, but I have to make a conscious decision to do that, right? Now I want Google to tell me, all right, this is an important document. And why did Chad make the changes to this document, or whoever has edit rights to that document? Now, in Google Docs, you can go under the tools as it shows here and go to notification settings. Keyword Docs only at this current time. So if I go to Docs, go to notification settings, I will then have the option to be notified if added or removed content. So if Chad goes into this document that I have turned on this and made some changes, what's going to happen is then, since I signed up for these notifications, I'm going to receive an email saying, hey, here's what's changed. Awesome. This is great for like any policies or procedures. Maybe you don't always want to lock it down, whatever the case may be, but now you can at least be notified. But again, you have to go into that particular document that you want to be notified of changes. Turn that on, and then you will get that communication. Also, it does look slightly different in our Google Workspace update that's posted here. So I would encourage you to check out the video. I even make note of that because we don't have all those things turned on as it shows in the Google Workspace update, but we do have this capability of actually receiving notifications when changes are made on Google Docs. So again, nice feature. I've used this for a launch, and I'm like, okay, who made the changes? And I can get notified of when and who made those changes. But I had to tell it to do that on that particular document. Gmail, pretty big update here. Gmail in December, at the end of December, if not probably January, you will no longer have the option to go to the standard Gmail view. If you haven't already updated to the integrated view, which allows you to see Gmail, chat, spaces, meet, all on the left-hand side, keyword, left-hand side, and has the capability of being more interoperable and working within your Google Workspace apps in this new integrated view. By the end of December, if not early January, you will no longer have the option to go back to the standard view, okay? We made a post like 6-8 months ago about this, but now it's telling us, this new update is telling us that we no longer have the option to opt out of that view. So if you haven't done so, it's not going to be that big of a deal. There are some things you need to be aware of, though. So the new integrated view looks like this. You're going to see Gmail, chat, spaces, and me all on the left-hand side. You'll have the little hamburger will allow you to collapse your menu items on the left-hand side if you choose to. That's what the new integrated view looks like. Now, if you are the right-sided chat person, which means you have the chat on the right side, I was one of them. So I then had to make sure I moved my chat to the left, and that right-sided chat is no longer an option anymore, okay? Once you do that, you should be good to go, but there is some benefits of this when you do this. It's you'll have all these little menu items for each one of these apps on the left-hand side. You have a little bubble when you talk to people within chat. There's just some bells and whistles of that, but I'm going to be honest, it does take some time to adjust, even myself, because I was such a right-sided chat user. It took some time, but just be aware that you won't have the option to opt out anymore. And there is one particular known issue, which is considered a particular extension that we have that you guys might have installed called Column Resizer. It will not work on this particular integrated view. So please know, I would strongly encourage you to check out this resource. It's updated. It lets you know of this change starting end of December. We will announce this in our newsletter when we send it in end of December, but you guys are getting a little head start to let you know that this is going to be no longer an option to opt out in the new view. So go ahead and jumpstart and make sure that you're on a new integrated view. I'm sure you've received a pop-up or two in your Gmail. It kind of does that. It reminds you like, hey, this is going to go away. But you could just quickly go to your gear, go to settings, and you'll be able to turn it on. This one I really like, visual updates regarding the the CC, and the BCC fields in Gmail. I know these screenshots are a little blurry, but the concept is what happens is it's more better material design. You have better avatars, so it just shows who they are that you're sending to. It gives you a visual indicator and when you're sending outside of the state of Iowa Google account users, like the yellow one. So if I was sending to a Yahoo account or someone that's outside the state of Iowa Google Workspace user, or maybe a vendor, it will give you a yellow or the banner, their email address, excuse me, will turn yellow. So that gives you a visual indicator because we're visual learners, right? We need to see that. Oh, why is that standing out? Something wrong? Oh yeah, I want to send this to so-and-so. It just gives you a nice indication that you're sending something outside. It's a security update for you to let you know. One of the other things, though, that what I love the most is that you actually will click on the email address and you right-click on it. If you have not done that, right-click in an email recipient. So type in your bestest coworker in an email in the to front and right-click. Look at all those options you have. One of my favorite is to copy the email address because that's always a little clunky, I always thought. But now if you just type in a recipient in the to field and right click on them and copy their email address, see their contact info. So again, nice feature when you right click in there. The other thing is you can't accidentally send it to Chad twice. Not that it would have gone to Chad twice, but it just looks more professional. If you type in Chad in your inbox and then you type in Chad again, because you forgot maybe in the CCC, oh, he's already in the to, I don't need to send him in the CCC. You type it in his name and it will be grayed out because it tells you that you've already have his email in the compose in the compose to or CC or BCC. So again, just some nice features. Again, I do a much better job going over that in the video, but again, you can kind of see some of the things in the screenshot. This one is where I'm telling you the 80-20 rule. This does fall on the 20%. This is not going to be something that everybody cares about. The 20% that would fall into this bucket that cares about this update regarding the new integrated email marketing tools of Gmail is my communications people, your marketing people, maybe billing even a little bit. Anybody that does a lot of communications in a sense to public and you really care what it looks like. What this does is it allows you to have a better layout option. I do like this one. If you've ever noticed the newsletter or you're part of the Google user group, I have incorporated this update by updating it by using the layout feature. Layouts give you a more professional looking email. It's just very mobile friendly. It gives you this white space that you need. Allows you to add some images. It just looks really nice. So you do have this option now within Google to add layouts. You can see some examples here. The good thing is you can actually customize it to fit your communications branding guidelines. Like obviously OCIO has branding guidelines like 838383 is the famous gray color that we're supposed to use and the blue color that we're supposed to use. You have certain hex codes that go with it. We have our certain logo that we have. Same thing with the Google stuff. So I can actually customize it with the branding guidelines that I have, which is nice, and it will stay. And then the next time I'm bringing up a layout, those colors are there. You can add some social media icons such as Gmail account, or excuse me, email, YouTube, links, and so on. So if you want, bring up the last quarter newsletter, you'll see an example of that, the Google Help newsletter. So that's the layout portion, okay? Then there's the second portion called multi-send. And I really don't want to go into that very much in this particular video because it's a lot of different scenarios. What I can tell you is there is a sending limit of 1,500. There's some issues regarding, not issues, but you need to understand there's some limitations. You would never want to CC anybody in it. There's a lot of things to that. It does give you that personalized option though, okay? It does. This will never replace Gov delivery because this is not allowed. The sending limit is 1,500, right? So this isn't your mass communication multi-send option. It's more of a smaller amount, like billing maybe, in a smaller amount. It personalizes. However, there is an option for the end user, the recipient, to unsubscribe. Okay, now I'm getting too much into the granular details. If this is you in the 20% that's like, I'm a little curious about the multi-send option, and I'm really curious about the layouts, I'm going to strongly encourage you to check out this post, because I also have a video and a slide deck, okay? And I actually go one step further and provide you written instructions to follow along and do the hands-on. So 20%, I gave you a tutorial and a way to hands-on learn how to do this, okay? And I go through all that for you so you are ready to go. So if that falls into you, learn it, do the slide deck, do the training, and learn all the little hiccups that you might have with this particular update. There's so many different scenarios. I don't want to get you down a rabbit hole. The next thing is there's Drive. This one is a minor one, but it's kind of nice. You have the option in Drive is to improve flow for expiring access controls in Google Drive, meaning easier for you to set expiration dates on people in Google Drive. You can set expiration dates in folders, doc editors, any file that's in Google Drive. Once you have it in Google Drive, you could actually say, Chad, I only want you to have this access either as an editor, viewer, or commenter. You select the permission and set the date range, okay? Once you select the expiration date, maybe it's tomorrow at 12 p.m., and Google will automatically remove his permission, whatever you set. So just be aware that is it's updated, it's more robust and more intuitive to use that expiration concept. So I go over that for you in that video. And the GIF does a pretty good job of getting a better understanding of how it works. Okay, here's my lecture time. Google Drive for Desktop. I have done a new training for Google Drive for Desktop. I took a lot of time on this. I really try to update the materials. Why? Because we have a lot of users that use Google Drive for Desktop. If you do not know what Google Drive for Desktop is, it is a tool that can help you access your My Drive or Shared Drive files through File Explorer. It's just a tool. It's a tool. Keyword, it's a tool, okay? It is a way to help you for those that don't feel comfortable with Google Drive through the Chrome web browser. However, I cannot emphasize enough that you actually need to know both. Maybe not as much as you think you do, but you do need to know if you delete a file in File Explorer or Google Drive for Desktop that's stored in the cloud, and you delete a file from there, don't fill out a ticket and tell us you can't find it in your recycle bin, because it's not in your recycle bin, because it's in your trash in your Chrome web browser. True story, several true stories. So what does that tell me? We need knowledge, and knowledge is power, as I mentioned earlier. With that, we have that for you. We have a lot of resources for you. We have troubleshooting for you, and it's updated. We take pride in updating our training materials, and it doesn't want to make sure you're aware of that. We have that. And I didn't put my Bitmoji important on my Chrome one as much as I did for this one, right? It's important that if you are a Google Drive desktop user, it is worth going to this page and reviewing that video and all these slide decks. I'm not joking. So please do it. There's instructions on this page for you to how to install it. What is Google Drive? You're like, oh, I know what Google Drive is. You do, but you don't know how it works within Google Drive for Desktop. It works slightly different. So be aware of that. You have to know Chrome and you have to know Google Drive for Desktop. For the example, I'm just giving you one example of deleting a file. Okay, it's going to be in your trash bin, okay, in your Chrome browser. So that's just an example. I'm telling you, it is a need to review. The other thing that's in this slide deck or in this page is then you have the Office real-time presence. Google loves the idea of collaboration, collaboration, and collaboration. You've gotten that with the smart canvas and allows people to edit at the same time. Well, we still have a lot of users that love Google Drive for Desktop and they love Microsoft Office. Okay, we're not here to tell you you can't use Microsoft Office, but you can actually want to make sure you're reviewing those pop-ups when you're opening a Microsoft Office that's stored in Google Drive. That's called real-time presence. So for example, if you go to Google Drive for Desktop, you go to your My Drive and you open a Microsoft Word file and this document was shared to me or anybody else, you're going to get a pop-up. The pop-up is going to say save to edit, wait to edit, not safe to edit, wait. You need to review those pop-ups, and that's called real-time presence, because then you're going to have a version history problem. Okay, so be aware of that. We have training on that for you as well. And then last but not least, we have troubleshooting for Google Drive for Desktop. Here's another example. I'm giving you the why to watch this video. If you are a Google Drive for Desktop user, maybe there's been a time that Google Drive for Desktop has not opened and you cannot find your letter M. That's usually the drive that we choose within Google Drive for Desktop is letter M. All you really need to do is go to your Start menu and find Google Drive. Guess what? We have a video for you to make sure you know how to do that. So all this information is right here for you regarding Google Drive for Desktop. We have a lot of users that are using this. Do we have a lot of users that maybe are watching this? I'm not sure. So can we please just remind you that this is updated and we will always keep this one up to date if things are changing because it is a highly used app. Okay. So Google Drive for Desktop, please, important Bitmoji there for a reason. Please, please pass it on to your colleagues. Please, please, please. So the other important one that I want to point out is shared drive. This is not my drive, shared drive. And I'm only emphasizing this because we can have data to show that these are the questions that we're getting. And so we just want to remind you that we have the resources there at your fingertips. Shared drive is another one. This is not shared with me. Maybe you're getting slightly confused. This is shared drive. This is where people use shared drives for team concepts. Guess what? Shared drive is completely different than my drive. Not maybe completely, but they have even things called members, managers, content managers, contributors, viewers, commenters. There's different roles within shared drives. People can only do a few things in shared drive. Like, for example, managers are the only ones that can add members and can share folders. Guess what? You cannot move files from my drive to a shared drive. We can, however, that's my point. All those things that maybe you are unaware of are in here as well. So shared drive is a great concept to store data that is our team concept. And guess what? Is when it's in shared drive, it's owned by the domain. So again, I'm rambling for a reason to make a point that there is a lot of information. And guess what? This shared drive training is up to date. I spent a lot of time. I worked with Chad and John, making sure that we're hitting all those points that we have had come in as tickets. We want to make sure you're aware of those things. So again, if you are a shared drive user or want to be a shared drive user, I'm warning you, more than likely, we're going to encourage you to watch this before we even create it because there's so much difference. So be very cautious. Make sure you understand all the different things within shared drive. Shared drive does have a great new update. This was actually an assistance for one of the agencies that reached out regarding shared drive. So first of all, this is regarding visitor sharing. My Drive and Shared Drive. My Drive and Shared Drive both have the concept of visitor sharing. Visitor sharing means asking someone outside the state of Iowa that, or outside anybody that has a Google account is really what that means. So for example, DHS would be an example. Iowa Workforce Development would be an example. Your Yahoo account would be an example of people that do not have a true Google account, but you want to share and collaborate with those people. Prime example. Well, you can actually share files and folders to those type of people. You can actually do that. And they have this thing called visitor sharing. That is here for both My Drive and Shared Drive, okay? However, in My Drive, I can share a folder to someone outside. Let's just stick with DHS, for example. I can share a folder from My Drive to DHS, but they would never be able to upload anything in there. Okay, they'll be able to edit the content. They'd be able to view the content. They'd be able to do certain things, but they would never be able to upload any content. Okay, you're like, this is not what this update says. Well, it does say that. It says, though, shared drive is the only one that can actually allow them to upload content. So again, this is why it falls under the shared drive concept. So if you are a manager of a shared drive, you might have a folder in your shared drive, not shared with me, shared drive, and you have a folder in there, and you're like, I really want DHS person A to have access and upload content. Guess what? You can. I could share this folder to a DHS employee, give them edit rights to that folder. Who can do that? The manager of the shared drive. And now I'm going to give that person edit rights at DHS, and they will be able to upload. Okay, that's huge. I also go in this video, best practices also for those people that are outside the state of Iowa that do not have a Google account. Keep in mind, these people that are outside the Google environment do not have, that's right, they do not have Google Drive. So they need to learn how to bookmark it, how to organize it, and I go over that in the video as well. So if this is something that you want to use, I cannot emphasize enough to make sure you watch the video. And if you have more questions, please let us know. But this should get you a good start to understanding how this works. Forms, next one. There's 2 updates on this particular post. Forms, you have the option to adjust font styling. This goes back to customization and branding. We want to always fit our branding guidelines. And so this is a great option to maybe fit the exact text style. Like this one shows Roboto is our current font size or font style. And then you can actually brand it to your colors again of your current branding guidelines. So you have that option in the themes under format or under forms. And then my favorite part is that you have rich text. It's so exciting. I've been wanting this forever. You have rich text availability in like the description, the title, the little help text, in some of the questions, I think all the question types for the most part. So anyway, with that, if you don't know what rich text does, it just allows better formatting. You can actually insert links like click here or contact us, and then you link it to whoever or to that website. It just looks more professional instead of this long URL. Hallelujah. So anyway, that's what this 2 updates are. And again, you might want to check out the video. I go through those steps and give you an example. But yeah, this I love. On Google Keep, notice this one doesn't say important. This is just more fun. So if you want to learn fun, go ahead and look and watch Google Keep. But this one is actually kind of fun. To be honest, Google Keep, I usually don't hit mobile when I train because we're mostly a computer web-based. Going back to the 80-20 rule, most of us are working on our workstation. So I focus on that. But Keep is one of those oddballs where we're actually probably obviously more mobile and we're using Keep on the go. So I actually do incorporate some mobile training on there. It's kind of a fun one, like going to the store. Google Maps will actually let you know that your Google Keep will let you know that you just drove by Hy-Vee and you might need to go pick up that item. So there's some cool things regarding that and reminders in Google Keep and just a lot of fun things. So that's a fun one. No requirement there, but if you like Google Keep or want to incorporate it, we have a resource for you at your fingertips. Oh my goodness, you guys done me talking? This is probably the biggest update is Meet. There's 3 updates here as well. Now, do you understand why I don't do a demonstration for each one? I'll be here for hours. Google Meet or hands-on. Google Meet, there's picture-in-picture. So I could actually take me and put me over here right now in picture-in-picture. This is great when you're multitasking. So you can always do picture-in-picture. That's an option. You click on your 3 dots in Google Meet and you have the option to change it to picture-in-picture, which just allows you to be more flexible and more hands-on or more multitasking. The other one is you can pin multiple people. Here's something I think I just finally had an aha moment the other day when I was training. First of all, you need to know what pinning means. Pinning means it's important to you. Pinning, you see a thumbnail a lot in Google Drive. If you see a little thumbnail, it's telling you, I think this is important. Chad's important to me in my chat. I'm going to pin Chad so he's up at the top. I think Chad's important in my Google Meet. I can hover over Chad and Chad is going to be my most focal point when I'm on the Google Meet. Pinning means important, okay? So now in Google Meet, regarding this update, you have the option to pin. Now, why is this important in Google Meet? Well, let's just break it down. Let's say, for example, I have a interpreter, a sign language interpreter. I need to see what they're interpreting, obviously, right? That's someone that's important in the meeting. On the presentation, like this one, is important. And probably the presenter. Those are 3 people that are probably really important in the meeting that I'm in. I would pin each one of those in my Google Meet. So I'd have 3 of them. That would mean it looked like something like this. This is an example of 2 being pinned. But you have the option now to pin up to 3 things, 3 items in Google Meet. That could be a presentation. It could be 2 people, could be 3 people, whatever that you want. So you have that option. This is really to help the accessibility when it comes to actually the scenario I was just going over. But sometimes you can want to pin up 2 people. Maybe people are toggling back and forth presenting because they're troubleshooting. Get them both pinned. Okay. The other one, so we did picture in picture, items 3. And this one I use a lot in a lot of our meetings. So we have our Google Team meeting every Tuesday. The guest list is always in my Google Meet now. That's part of this update. And I can see, oh, Jolene's out of the office today, so she's not going to attend. I don't have to go back to my calendar to go see who's going to be coming to this meeting. Oh, I can see directly the guest list inside my Google Meet. And now I can either directly chat Jolene if she really wasn't out of the office saying, hey, are you coming? So that's a really nice feature to have that guest list in the Google Meet environment when it's tied to a calendar event. So 3 big updates in one on this particular post. So be aware of those. Again, a video is there for you to learn more. This is another one where it goes back to the 80-20 rule. This might affect our 20% of you that care about this. Currently, we are live streaming right now. This is a live stream. However, this is not a public YouTube live stream. This is just a live stream internal for state of Iowa Google users. That's what we're used to for quite some time. It's the only option we had. However, that's not the case anymore. You can actually live stream a Google Meet via YouTube. That's huge. This would be great for public meetings, could be great for a huge big meeting, maybe whatever, like a lot of users, right? I do not want to go over this one because this is really, there's a lot of steps to it. Not a lot, like don't think it's like really, really hard, but it's not something I want to go over in this particular training material. But what I want to promise you, though, as always, this is very similar to the layouts and multi-send. I have instructions for you, written instructions, and a tutorial. So in this document, in this slide, if you want to learn more, there's a video and written instructions to walk you through this step. Also, before I do this, this is something you do not wait the day before. This is something you test a week before and making sure you understand it, okay? There is a 24 to 48 hours if you've never created a YouTube channel. There's a lot of things that you need to do before. So this is not, hey, I want to do a YouTube channel live stream tomorrow. And I'm like, have you even done any of the pre-work? The answer is no, you're not doing it tomorrow. So, so make sure you check out those resources. This is minor compared to that one, but it is good to know because people don't want to always be display their name when they want to vote on things or ask a question. People like to be a little timid. In this particular update, you in Google Meet allows participants to ask questions or respond to polls anonymously. That makes sense because I might not want to answer that sensitive question, right, with my name tied to it, but maybe I feel more comfortable anonymously. So you have that option for the end user to select that. Just make note of the 2 highlighted options here. Anonymous questions will be allowed by default. So this is where the co-host or the host, depending if you have host management on, would allow or disallow some of this. Anonymous questions will be allowed by default. So you might not want that to be not allowed. You can change that as a host. You have control of the meeting. However, anonymous polls will be off by default. So again, we go over that in the presentation and how that works, but just know that there is some capability and how you receive the reports as well when they are anonymous. So I go over that in the video as well. And this is a fun one, especially in your larger meetings, especially when you join a Google Meet and you're like, oh, I really don't talk much in this meeting, but you know, maybe I'll say something funny at the end or something. You can always push to talk now in Google Meet, which is a nice shortcut because a lot of times you're muted when you go into a larger meeting for sure. Or you just really need to pipe in once in a while and you don't want to use the keyboard shortcut Control D to unmute or find the little mute button at the bottom of your screen. You now have the option to press and hold the space bar to push to talk. So I'll go back to that. That's right here. And you can see there's all the other shortcuts to make your life easier in Google Meet as well. But the highlighted item is to push to talk that is now available within Google Meet. This is just a fun one. You'll probably notice if you haven't checked out the background effects and all the options that you have to add some flair to your background, please do so. There's a lot of new updates, and they actually have made it a lot better. Their artificial intelligence is much better. As this guy shows, like, now I might use the background because like you actually see my ears. So like sometimes it was cut off. So definitely I think the background effects have made it much more accurate. And again, I've seen some really cool ones with the Christmas tree and stuff. So if you haven't checked that out, please do that if you want. My technical writers, my communications people, my record keepers, this is going to be a great update for you. In Google Meet, you do have the capability of transcription. So we've always had the capability of recording a Google Meet. Well, not always, but yeah, I think so, always since we've had Google. You have the capability of recording a Google Meet. Awesome. And we always do what when we record a Google Meet? You ask for consent. Hey, I'm going to record this Google Meet. Any objections? If there's none, you record. Guess what? Same thing. Now you have the option in Google Meet under the activity is to actually start a transcription. So it would even capture as fast as I'm talking. So it will actually record and transcribe that for you. It's two different activities. One, you can record the video and you record the transcription. So it will then take that transcription and put it in a Google Doc. And it will function in the same process as we're used to with the Google Meet recording. So I won't go into that. However, I do want to make sure I tell you, Google Meet recordings and Google transcriptions, guess what, are stored where? That's right, Google Drive. If it's stored in Google Drive, what does that mean? It means that it's discoverable. So that is why Google even says, hey, are you sure you have everybody's consent before I record? If the answer is yes, then you can record. And they know that if it's stored in Google Drive, that we can discover it if requested. Okay, so be aware of that. Always ask for consent. And again, that video will walk you through the process of how you can do that. And if you join a call after it's been recorded, or join a call when it's recording or transcription, you always get the little warning, you're joining a call that's being recorded, and now you'll see a new message if it's being transcribed. So you are taking that conscious decision, and yes, I'm accepting to go into this meeting that's being transcribed. Okay. This was a great feature regarding people that have just one screen, for sure, right? And not everybody has a luxury of maybe 2 or 3 screens like myself, or monitors, however you want to describe them. But if I was presenting and I only had one screen, this would be a huge lifesaver for me right now. I would get to be able to see my friends and present all on the same screen. So you'll see in this video, this GIF, you can actually see if you select this option to present by a tab, you can see that they're presenting by a tab. They're selecting that particular slide deck. And then, that's right, there's all his friends over here. And now we're navigating directly from the Google Meet environment. So nice feature. I go a little bit more in depth in the video to show you how you can access the media that's inside the slide deck, how you can go back and forth quickly between different ones as well. So again, nice feature, especially with people with one screen. And we do know when you present by a tab, that is the best quality for animation and video. Easily share Meet artifacts with co-hosts. What are artifacts? Artifacts meaning Meet recording, transcriptions, attendance reports, polls, question and answer, and other documents. That's what artifacts are. Think about it. It's like taking everything in a piece of paper binder and taking it to the meeting that we used to do in the room, right? That's the artifacts of the meeting. Well, now all those artifacts are actually virtual. So what would you normally do if you were in a meeting? Well, your co-host would probably be the person, or the president and VP, right? The 2 people that are in charge of the meeting in that particular meeting would have access to both of those artifacts. Well, now that's what this is. If you have 2 people that are in charge of this virtual meeting now, you have the option to call the artifacts automatically shared to them. So in this case, if Chad was my co-host in this meeting, and he is the one that is helping me in this particular meeting, he needs all those artifacts from the meeting. No different than having the hard copies in the meeting that we had before, right? So now, as soon as the meeting's over, he would have access of everything that was part of that meeting. But the organizer or the host, the president, would need to make that call for that particular event ahead of time, okay? So there's instructions there This one I really do like because I like being centered. Even though as much as I move, I do still like to be centered. Sometimes I'm not. So this is an option. This is not on by default. So you might see a pop-up that says, do you want to frame yourself? Do you want to be centered? That's up to you. So I would definitely check that out. I think this is a great GIF to show you like when you look funny when you're off-centered. So you do have that capability of centering yourself both inside the Google Meet and in the green preview as well. So you can actually do it when you're inside a Google Meet as well. So there's a video for you to frame yourself and get yourself centered. As you may or may not know, you can actually create a Google Meet in Google Docs and Google Sheets, okay, and slides in doc editors. Doc editors, by definition, is Sheets, Slides, and Docs. That's doc editors. So you could always directly from a doc, directly from a sheet, or directly from a slide to actually join or create a Google Meet. This update is now adding Jamboard to that list. So kind of think the other three doc editors are a little more important than the Jamboards. That's why I wanted to emphasize that in case you're unaware. But this does allow you in both doc editors and Jamboard to have that meeting directly inside the application that you're working on. Many of us are working on a doc at the same time, and you can just bring your friends over here. Okay, again, can you see where some people might not have two screens, and this is going to be a huge benefit for them, especially if like I'm going to the office, I don't have two screens. Now I know I can still work it and function and still be productive in that environment when I don't have to. The next one is new sites. This falls in the 80-20 rule. This is the 20% of you that might care about sites. Sites is a great tool to add a one-stop shop. This is a great option for you, one-stop destination to add content, docs, sheets, slides, calendars, folders, whatever it is. So we do have new training on sites as well. So if you've never are interested in sites, please watch the video first. That would be what I would encourage. And not everybody can create a site. There is some rules to that. So it goes over that in the slide deck and the presentation and the video. So please just know that we do have an updated resource regarding new sites. There are a few changes with sites. So this, again, not going to affect everybody, but you do have some social channels that you can add in new sites. I do use this for the Okta site. So you can add the new social links such as Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case may be, but it does give you these nice options to add social links in new sites. Spacing has been always a common issue with the new sites, and you can see that they have been focusing on it for the next two posts here. Spacing between content. You do have new density theme settings. So in your theme settings, I know you can't see it very good, but in the theme settings, you have the option to select cozy, comfortable, and compact. So sometimes I think there's too much white space or real estate between items. So if you think so, you can change it to compact or cozy. So again, just be aware there's some different density options that could help your white space issue. Again, sometimes white space is needed, and so you can actually insert a new element as a spacer. So if you want more space between the two items, you can actually do quite the opposite. So you have that option as well. So again, not a huge amount of people care about that, but that's where I'm at. Slides, again, this is both slides and drawing. So slides and drawing, and actually docs, sheets, and all them. Docs and sheets have done the same thing in the past recently. As you can see, I put that in the update. New menu items. So usually when I train any doc editors, I say, let's take a tour of the menu items. And this is kind of the reason why I do, is because it does change. We just want to make sure we can find things. But this actually is an improvement. They put the more, the ones that are used the most easier, and more key features easier to find. So again, if you're like, why did this change? I didn't know that. They have changed. And now I think they're all the way through drawing and slides. So doc, sheets, drawing, and slides, all their menu items have changed. So be aware of that if you haven't noticed that. Last one, I think we're pretty close here. We've already kind of talked about tasks. We talked about tasks in Google Docs and how you can add tasks there. We've talked about how it's interoperable to all of them. But this is one that just pertains to task alone, and it's kind of not one that I would use because I don't print my task list here, but some people do, or maybe you want to take it to that conference room. You do have the option to print the task list, as you can see in the screenshot. So there are times though, like a grocery list, maybe you want to print it, or maybe this is something I just want, I'm going in a conference room that doesn't have great internet service, I at least have a hard copy, because hard copy sometimes is necessary. And if we're using Google Task quite frequently as to keep track of what we're doing, this is a great way to do that. So before I end this, I don't see too many questions, or maybe this didn't work, because sometimes it doesn't always work. You have the option to sign up and subscribe. So I just want to remind you that the information is there for you to receive it when it comes in. So if you love Google, sign up and subscribe. Go ahead and do that. I'm sorry, not Google. Well, I hope you like Google too, but YouTube, if you like videos. And again, I don't have time to do a video every day. It's just when I think something is good, or I really want to make sure we have a resource when a question comes up. So be aware of that. You can subscribe to that. And then Currents, I'm going to continue to ask you to sign up for Currents, even though that will go away at one time or another. But there is no plan, and I'm just not going to jump on that yet. But in the meantime, we're going to use Currents as our system for a opt-in communication for you. If you want to receive those directly in your inbox, again, when something comes up, you will be notified. There are some agencies that will decide, oh, I'll be that person, that liaison to determine, and then they can be the person that decide to share it on to their own staff. So be that person. You can be that person to make sure that this is a really good update. I want to send this out to all your staff. That's up to you. So we do have that for you, both Currents and YouTube, obviously the Google Help website.